Imagine you're in a really crucial meeting, or maybe a first date, even just, walking down the street. How much you're really understanding beyond the actual words people are saying. What if you could decode what they're secretly communicating? Welcome to our deep dive into the honestly fascinating world of nonverbal communication. We're drawing heavily today from the insights in the body language advantage. Our mission for you today is pretty clear. Unlock those hidden messages, the ones hiding in body language, facial expressions, even voice and speech patterns. Think of this as, well, your shortcut to getting incredibly well-informed about human behavior. It should help you navigate your life, personal and professional, with a whole new level of insight.
It's such an essential skill, especially these days. I mean, we live in this super easy, instant digital world, right? You can connect with anyone without ever actually seeing them or hearing their voice properly. But let's be real, so much of life still happens offline, face to face. And because we rely so much on tech, a lot of us are just, well, out of practice with reading people in person. We end up misinterpreting things or maybe completely ignoring the real messages people are sending out.
That really is the heart of the problem, isn't it? Take a simple example. Someone says, "Oh, that's really great, Ma. Seems fine on the surface." But what if they say it with this sort of attacking burst of loudness, just on the word great? And maybe they make a fist-like gesture. Their posture is all stiff, jaw clenched tight.
Yeah, suddenly it's totally different.
Exactly. You realize, oh, wait, they're actually angry. That comment meant the exact opposite. And if you miss those cues, you're just at a huge disadvantage in that moment. So where do we even start with decoding all this?
Well, the foundation, and this is what's so fascinating, is that the body, it really doesn't lie, and neither does the voice or the speech patterns, not if you actually know what to look and listen for. This skill, it's like having your own built-in lie detector. It gives you a pretty significant edge, really, in all parts of life.
Okay, so if our body and voice are constantly spilling the beans, so to speak, what's going on inside our heads? How does our brain process these signals, or sometimes fail to process them? What's this internal compass about?
It really comes down to how your brain handles information. You've got your, let's call it objective outer brain, the cortex, that's for reasoning, sensory stuff, sight, language, all that. But it's always working with your emotional inner brain, the limbic system. That's the instinctual part. So everything you see and hear gets filtered through this emotional center, and it triggers really fast, often unconscious reactions. Think about seeing, I don't know, a salivating, open-jawed lion, as the book puts it. Your limbic system doesn't hang around waiting for analysis. Bang, fight or flight. Right, so this connection means your body is constantly sending out these raw, crucial messages.
So that feeling, your heart pounding, that pit in your stomach, maybe your jaw gets tight. Those aren't just random feelings. They're like primal signals telling you, hey, stop ignoring these body changes. Your gut is basically yelling at you.
Exactly. Pay attention.
But can our gut feelings be wrong? Does that happen?
Oh, absolutely. Your instincts can definitely lead you astray sometimes. The main time that happens is when, as the book says, you are not looking at or listening to what is, but rather what you would like the person to be.
Ah, okay. Wishful thinking.
Precisely. You start projecting positive things onto someone. Maybe you overlook some pretty obvious red flags because you just really want that job or that friendship or that relationship to work out. Your own desires can literally filter out the reality your body's trying to signal.
That's a really important distinction, seeing what is versus what we wish was there. So for all of us listening who want to get better at this, to sharpen these people reading skills, what's like a practical first step?
There's a really simple but surprisingly effective exercise. Just practice. Stop, look, and listen. Next time you meet someone new or even interact with someone you know, just stop for a second. Clear your head. Don't worry about what you're going to say next. Just be present. Then really look at their facial expression. Are their eyes genuinely lighting up? Or do they seem kind of distant, preoccupied? And finally, listen. Listen to the tone of their voice. Does it sound warm, engaged? Or is there maybe an undercurrent of boredom or irritation? This conscious effort helps you cut through your own biases and just observe what's actually there.
That makes sense. It's about intentional observation. It reminds me of that example, Marla. She noticed her colleague, Jim, was shuffling his feet. His tone was really curt.
Right.
And instead of jumping to, oh, he's mad at me, she stopped, looked, listened, and then just asked him, is something wrong?
And what happened?
Turned out he was just totally stressed about some work thing. Nothing to do with her at all. That small bit of observation completely changed how she felt about the interaction.
That's exactly the kind of observation that gives you this advantage we're talking about. So with that foundation laid, let's really dig into the core elements. Let's dissect the messages from the body, the face, the voice, the speech patterns.
Okay, let's start with the big one, body language.
Hmm.
It feels like the most, I don't know, universal storyteller, right? It covers posture, how we use space around us, our movements. It's almost primal, how emotions show up physically. Like sadness makes you kind of shrink inward.
Uh-huh.
Happiness lifts your head, pulls your shoulders back. Fear tenses everything up. Anger makes your head kind of lunge forward. But let's get into the specifics.
The specifics are where the real gold is. Take leaning, for example. When people genuinely like each other or feel connected, they instinctively lean in towards each other. Even the angle, the closeness, can suggest different levels of intimacy. But if you see one person leaning in and the other is leaning back, well, that's a clear sign of a disconnect. Leaning away almost always signals disinterest, maybe discomfort, or even conflict.
And what about space? Personal space?
Yeah, the whole concept of space, or proxemics, standing close usually means liking, but you gotta remember, culture plays a role. Like Latin and Middle Eastern cultures generally have a smaller personal space bubble than, say, North Americans or Brits.
Right. Context matters.
Definitely. But intentionally invading someone's space, that's often used as intimidation or hostility. It usually makes the other person feel annoyed, maybe even aggressive.
Okay. And what about mirroring? When you subconsciously copy someone's movements, what's that telling us?
Mirroring is a really powerful and usually unconscious sign of rapport. It's basically your body saying, hey, I get you. I'm on your wavelength. I'm like you. Now, sure, really savvy salespeople might try to use it intentionally to build rapport quickly, maybe manipulate a little.
I've heard about that.
Yeah, but genuine mirroring, that happens automatically when two people are truly connecting and feeling comfortable with each other.
Posture, too, speaks volumes, doesn't it? Slouching shoulders. We kind of associate that with low confidence, right? Insecurity, maybe sadness, like they're shouldering a burden, literally.
Right. Exactly. And then the opposite, that super rigid, almost military posture. That often suggests someone's pretty uptight, maybe inflexible. What you generally want to see or project is a relaxed, open posture. That signals self-confidence, being at ease. It makes others feel more comfortable, too.
And fidgeting, tapping fingers, wringing hands.
Classic signs of anxiety, usually. Or discomfort. Or sometimes a real desire to just get out of the situation and watch for fiddling around the neck area, like loosening a tie or touching a collar. That can literally mean they're getting hot under the collar, body temperature rising due to anger or stress.
Head and neck movements are fascinating, too.
Yep.
Tilting the head, that can mean uncertainty, right? Or sometimes even flirtation.
It can, yeah. Context is key there. But what about that sudden jerk backwards of the head? Often the chin tucks in a bit, too.
What does that usually signal?
Often surprise or shock. You sometimes see it if someone's caught off guard, maybe in an interrogation, or hearing really unexpected news. Here's a subtle one. Constant nodding. If someone is nodding yes repeatedly while they're actually saying no verbally,
That can be the subconscious sign they want you to agree, maybe because they're not being truthful.
Interesting.
A forward thrust of the head, though, that's usually pretty clear. Anger, aggression, and touching the throat area that dip at the base of the neok. That's a very primal protective gesture. People do it when they feel vulnerable or hear something devastating.
Yeah.
And always watch for that yes nod combined with a verbal no. It's a classic leakage, a tell for deception.
Even shoulders tell a story. I read about looking at couples' photos. If one person's shoulder is always higher.
Yeah, that can sometimes suggest there's some underlying tension or trouble, like one person is metaphorically getting the cold shoulder, creating a barrier, shoulders pulled up towards the ears. That's usually defensiveness or maybe embarrassment, insecurity, and a simple shrug. Well, it could be embarrassment, insecurity, or depending on what's being said, it could even be a deceptive gesture like, I don't know, when they actually do.
Okay, moving down to hands. Open hands, fingers parallel. That seems like a good sign. Generally, yes, it shows self-confidence, openness. Compare that to curled fingers or someone picking at their hands or nails. That often signals insecurity, anxiety, maybe even deception.
What about that steeple position? Fingertips touching.
Ah, the steeple. That usually indicates someone is actively listening, processing information, feeling confident in their position, receptive. But here's something counterintuitive. Watch out for extreme stillness. someone gripping the arms of a chair or holding themselves really tightly. Liars sometimes try to suppress all movement because they know fidgeting gives them away, so they overcompensate by freezing.
Right, so too much stillness can be a red flag, too.
Exactly. And of course, hiding the hands altogether, pockets behind the back, that's often linked with trying to hide something, possibly deception.
Okay, let's shift focus now.
Yeah.
Up to the face, facial language. Many say this is the most unfiltered window to our emotions. How we position our face listening or speaking. It gives so much away about mood, right?
Absolutely. Even the forehead tells a story. Those horizontal lines shooting upwards, often genuine surprise, or maybe pleasant surprise, like, oh, great to see you. But a raised forehead can also pop up when someone's caught in a lie. It's a flash of surprise or stress, and a really key physical sign of tension, maybe deception, sweat, especially on the forehead or upper lip. It's often one of the very first physical signs.
Ooh, and eyes. Windows to the soul, as they say. Especially relevant for attraction, apparently.
Very much so. Wide, almost circular eyes can indicate attraction. And something called cross-gazing, where someone's eyes sweep across your whole face, not just locking onto your eyes. Someone genuinely in love often has this soft, almost glistening gaze, and they just can't seem to keep their eyes off the person. Enlarged pupils, a prolonged gaze, also classic signs of interest and attraction.
But eyes are also big giveaways for lies, aren't they?
Huge giveaways. People who have something to hide, as the book puts it, often really struggle with maintaining normal eye contact. They might look away frequently, shift their gaze. And here's a critical point about smiles. A genuine smile always involves the eyes. They squint or crinkle at the corners, the Duchenne smile.
Right, the crow's feet.
Exactly. If the eyes aren't involved, the smile is likely fake or forced. Also watch for rapid blinking or suddenly shutting the eyes completely, especially when asked a tough question. Or the opposite, an unnaturally intense, unwavering stare, trying too hard to seem truthful.
Overcompensating.
Right. And any sudden muscle twitches around the eyes can also signal extreme stress, possibly deception.
Okay, lips and smiles. You mentioned the eyes, but the mouth itself.
Equally revealing. The key quote is, "When someone's facial expression does not match his words, there is trouble." A genuine happy smile usually shows teeth. The cheek apples raise up and you get those eye crinkles. A tight-lipped smile, even if you see a little bit of teeth, that's often forced. It could be just politeness, uncertainty, discomfort. Think of celebrities facing paparazzi looking strained, or someone trying to be brave during a difficult situation.
You mentioned perspiration earlier. Lips, too.
Yes, lip perspiration, like on the upper lip, is another one of those early, subtle signs of anxiety or potential deception. Also, look for a lip swing where someone kind of pulls one side of their lip over. That can indicate they're actively constructing a story, thinking carefully. And sometimes a genuine smile can actually be a sign of deception if it appears at a totally inappropriate moment. It's called duping delight.
Duping delight.
Yeah, it's like a flash of pleasure or relief at getting away with the lie. It's involuntary. Pursing the lips tightly into a thin line often means someone is withholding information or disapproval. And even the ears. Scratching behind the ear or cupping it often signals doubt or confusion. Rubbing the earlobe between thumb and forefinger can mean boredom or maybe disbelief in what they're hearing.
Wow, so much detail just in the face and head. Let's move beyond the visual now, into sound. Voice and speech patterns, the tonal truth. Our voice is like a direct line to our thoughts, isn't it? And apparently, a pleasant voice can even make you seem more attractive.
It absolutely can. The sound of your voice has a huge impact. Pitch is a big one. Higher-pitched voices often betray nervousness, tension, sometimes anger, and that rising inflection at the end of sentences. Uptalk. It's more common in women, but anyone can do it. It can make someone sound tentative, insecure, lacking confidence, even if their words are strong.
And volume. Speaking too quietly or too loudly.
Very revealing. People who consistently speak so softly that you have to constantly ask them to speak up. Sometimes they actually enjoy making you work for it. Enjoy that subtle control and attention.
Oh, interesting.
Soft talkers might also be suppressing inner anger that could eventually erupt. Loud talkers, on the other hand, often craving attention, maybe masking insecurity with volume. It can come across as arrogant, even bullying.
What about the speed, pace of talking?
Pace tells you a lot, too. Rapid-fire talkers. Could be nerves, anxiety, anger, insecurity. Often they rush because they subconsciously feel others aren't really interested, so they got to get it all out fast.
Like a type A personality.
Often, yes. But conversely, someone who speaks very slowly, drawing out their vowels. That can sometimes be a conscious or unconscious power play, making you hang on their every word, controlling the pace.
And that flat, monotone delivery. What's usually behind that?
A monotone voice often suggests someone is somewhat disconnected from their own emotions. They might be keeping others at arm's length, maybe afraid of revealing too much, being found out.
Mhm.
Then you have what the book calls vocal attackers. They use those sudden bursts of loudness, sharp tones, clear signs of anger, aggression, competitiveness.
Right.
Harsh, gravelly voices can also signal anger, maybe a bullying tendency. And nasal whiners, you know the sound. Often chronic complainers, critical, always seem kind of defensive.
Are there other, maybe less common tones that are revealing?
Definitely. Those frenetic, manic tones of super fast, forceful, almost breathless, that suggests a really inappropriate sense of urgency or alarm. Could be linked to certain conditions, or it might be a manipulative attempt to suck you into their drama or crisis.
Okay. And what about breathy tones?
Breathy tones, especially if they seem put on, are often seen as an attempt to use sexuality, maybe to gain something. It can signal insecurity underneath, or maybe that the person isn't entirely trustworthy, trying too hard. And finally, just touching on the words themselves, sarcasm. It's often just disguised hostility, right? A way for people who are uncomfortable with direct confrontation to express anger or jealousy passively.
You also run into people who are maybe verbally unconscious, using terms that are outdated or, not okay anymore, but they just don't realize it.
Right, unintentional offense. Different from verbal bullies who absolutely intend to use words sadistically to intimidate or humiliate.
Nasty.
And those folks who constantly contradict, always saying no, even when they mean yes, often driven by competitiveness, feeling threatened by you.
Okay, so we've broken down all these elements: body, face, voice, speech. Let's bring it all together. How does this body language advantage actually play out in the real world? How do we apply it?
This is where it gets really practical. Relationships, for starters, romantic ones. Want to know if someone's genuinely into you? Look for a cluster of signs, not just one. The genuine smile eyes crinkling, teeth showing. How they hug, is it face to face, close, belly button to belly button? Or is there distance, especially lower body? How close do they stand or walk? Are they right beside you, in sync? Or always a step apart? And touch to touch on the thigh or below the elbow often signals attraction. Shoulder touch, usually more friendly, platonic. If your partner consistently creates physical distance, if their smiles seem forced or tight-lipped, even if they say everything's fine, that's usually a sign of trouble brewing.
And what about conflict or even infidelity?
Those nonverbal cues become absolutely critical then. Your partner swallowing words, speaking in a monotone, face totally deadpan, leaning away while insisting everything is fine.
Big red flag.
Huge red flag. It's not fine. Specific tells like feet pointing towards an exit, hidden or constantly fidgeting hands, that consistent leaning away. These can strongly indicate disinterest or even cheating. And crucially, the verbal cues that escalate things. Blaming, accusing, name-calling, demeaning you, comparing you negatively to others, even audible teeth grinding. These are often precursors to violence, verbal or physical. And the book is very clear. When someone points a finger in your face or at your chest, know that the next step is usually physical violence. That's an immediate danger sign. Get out.
Wow, that's serious. How about in our careers? Can this help there?
Absolutely. Think about job interviews. You could save yourself a lot of false hope if you notice the interviewer barely made eye contact, leaned back the whole time, kept taking calls, gave you a limp handshake and a tight little half smile at the end.
Right. Even if they said, we'll be in touch.
Exactly. Their body screamed, not interested. Or in the office. That assistant who used to be warm and friendly but suddenly turns cold avoids eye contact. They might know something you don't, like maybe your job is on the line. In business meetings, watch for that leaning in, the mirroring we talked about. Two people doing that. They're connecting, they're on the same page. A deal's probably close.
Okay, and the big one for many people, spotting deception. Liars. What are the classic tells?
Liars often show a cluster of physical signs because lying is stressful. Changes in breathing, maybe fast or shallower, perspiration, upper lip, forehead. Hands might get clammy. They might loosen their tie or collar because their body temp is rising. Voice might get shaky, higher pitched.
Good.
Verbally, they might stammer, hesitate more than usual, maybe answer your question with another question to buy time, repeating words or phrases, giving way too much irrelevant detail to try and bury the lie.
The over-explanation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or clearing their throat frequently. If you confront them, they might get defensive, angry, or... Sometimes you see that little flash of duping delight, that inappropriate smile or chuckle.
And you mentioned something about how they structure their sentences.
Right. The book points out You can often spot liars by what they say. They tend to wander verbally as they get to the point. They take these long, winding roads instead of giving a direct answer, trying to confuse or distract you. It's amazing how the body and voice just struggle to keep secrets when you know the signs.
Beyond outright lying, just understanding typical gender differences in communication can prevent a lot of unnecessary conflict.
Oh, hugely important. Facially, for example, men often make less direct eye contact than women do. Women might misinterpret that as disinterest or him not listening.
Right.
Conversely, women tend to smile and nod more while listening. For women, it's often just signaling, I'm listening, I'm engaged, politeness. Men might misinterpret that nodding and smiling as full agreement with everything they're saying.
I can see that.
And men might frown or squint when concentrating on listening, which women might easily mistake for anger or disapproval when it's just concentration.
What about speech and voice differences?
Men tend to interrupt more often. They might speak louder, sometimes more monotonously. Their language is often more direct. You didn't call. Women generally disclose more personal stuff earlier in conversations. They often use more indirect language, hinting rather than stating outright. Their conversations tend to be more like dialogues, more back and forth.
Okay.
Showing affection can differ too. Men might use teasing or sarcasm playfully. Women tend to offer more direct compliments. And men sometimes fall into monologue mode, which, to a female listener, can sound a bit like lecturing.
And this plays out in arguments, too.
Definitely. Men often see an argument as having a distinct end. Once it's over, move on, no grudge. Women sometimes see arguments as more connected, part of an ongoing dynamic. They might bring up past issues and maybe hold on to the feelings longer. Can seem that way sometimes, yeah. Apologies differ too. Men tend to apologize less and maybe with less overt emotion, which women can misread as insincere.
And ego. How does that factor in?
Well, again, general tendencies. Men are often socialized to talk more about their achievements. Women might perceive this as boasting. Women are often raised to be more modest, maybe downplay achievements. Neither is right or wrong. They're just different ingrained patterns, but not recognizing them causes friction.
So understanding these patterns is one thing. Can this skill also help us identify, potentially, toxic people?
Absolutely. The ability to read nonverbal cues extends to recognizing personality types that could really negatively impact your life. Take cheating liars, as the book describes them. They are often incredibly complimentary, overly friendly at first. It's part of reeling you in. Their vocal tone might be low, gentle, slow, kind of seductive, maybe a sensuous breathiness. It's manipulative. Their body language might have those deceptive tells. Shrugging, shuffling feet, hidden hands, maybe that odd stillness. They might invade your personal space subtly, accidentally, brush against you. They often use self-stimulation gestures, playing with hair, rubbing their arms, which can be self-soothing but also unconsciously seductive. They'll use strong eye contact, head tilts, mirroring all to make you feel deeply connected and understood while their motives are hidden.
And the other side of the coin. Controlling bullies. What are their tells?
Their body language screams harshness and anger. Look for that aggressive, forward-leaning, lunging stance, deliberate invasion of space. Handshakes might be bone-crushingly firm, meant to intimidate. Lots of arm movement, lots of finger-pointing, clenched fists to emphasize points.
Sound unpleasant.
Their facial expression is usually tense. Furrowed brow, narrow gaze, hard stare, maybe flared nostrils, lips pressed tight, jaw thrust forward. And when they get really angry, rapid blinking, forceful breathing, face flushing red, eyes wide open showing the whites all around. These are unmistakable signs of aggression.
Wow. We have covered a lot today. We've really taken that deep dive into this subtle but incredibly powerful silent language.
We really have. And understanding these signals, tiny shift in gaze, a change in vocal tone, it really can dramatically improve your ability to understand what's really going on with people and how to respond effectively.
And like you said, this isn't just about getting ahead at work or having smoother relationships, though it definitely helps there.
Yeah.
This knowledge can genuinely be about your safety, your survival even.
For sure.
Knowing these cues can help you spot someone about to pick your pocket, recognize when advertising is manipulating you, see the early warning signs of abuse, or even detect someone dangerous, like a predator.
It's serious stuff. It's why, as you mentioned, the author lectured law enforcement, FBI Academy folks on these very skills. They know how critical it is.
So in this world we live in, where digital connection is so fast, but often hides true feelings and intentions, maybe consider this.
If you could truly hear the unspoken words of every single person you met today, what potentially uncomfortable truths might you uncover?
And how might Knowing those truths fundamentally change how you interact with the world, how you protect your own well-being.
What signals will you start consciously looking for now in the people around you? Something to think about.